Greetings fencers, Zach from Superior Hime here, to do another breakdown video. This is going to be fights 2 and 3 of my pool fights. If you want to see the first fight and a breakdown of the rules, the link is in the video description. So my opponent is, I believe, Tyler Corson-Oliver from Blood and Iron.
Tyler Corson-Oliver in blue!
And the person acting as his coach is actually, I believe, George Primrose, who I fought in the bronze medal match. This first exchange really shows the importance of taking the initiative, or in German terms, the Vor. The before, taking the action and forcing your opponent into reaction. I wait for my opponent to go to a backwards guard and strike. I may have hit his hands, but cut at his head immediately after. He gets his sword up with bent arms, so I'm able to hit his head and his sword at the same time, and then I cut again, hitting his shoulder or head. They decided to go with the head hit, but generally it should be the first target that gives you points. Maybe they thought the hand hit didn't count or was insufficient. Regardless, 4 points for me. Tyler realizes he will need to initiate in order to win and makes sure he's first to cut, and I do something foolish. He comes in with back-to-back undercuts, and I dodge the second one and have his head wide open. But instead of fully cutting, I just do this little push on the head. That's not a valid cut and is a leftover from my early days. I then make the mistake of following his sword, and he gets my side. 3 points for him.
Point blue! Fight, target area for blue! 3 points blue! 3 points blue! Fight!
This exchange I was a little more nervous and don't take the opening. Right when he switches from Flug to Tag, he goes back to Flug out of range, and I was waiting for him to go back to Tag and attack him. But Tyler was smart, he didn't give me the opening again, and initiates. I was able to parry his cuts and take the initiative back. My thwart cut hits his shoulder. You can see here that I use retreating steps to keep his cuts out of range while ensuring my safety with hanging point and threatening with the point. I parried his cut and cut with a thwart, hitting the shoulder/neck area. You can see it does have good edge alignment, but it doesn't actually get counted. Either the judges thought it was flat or too soft to hit. It looks good on this, but regardless, it was counted as no quality.
That's my pick. Gonna go with my judges on this one. I have clear angle on it. We have no quality red! No quality for red! Fight!
I don't know what happened here, but you can hear some sword-on-sword impacts and sword-on-body impacts, but they tell us to keep fighting. Neither one of us are wanting to engage each other while the other one's not ready. He initiates and I parry both his cuts. He retreats and I feint a thrust and cut to the other side. Again, I don't know what happens after, but what's called is a head hit for me, so 4 points.
Judges! Four points red! 4 points red! Fight!
You can see Tyler jog to halfway and initiate the play. He puts me on the defensive quickly, just reacting to his actions. I parry and plow, then crown, and I thought his next cut would be to my right, and I over parry. He ended up cutting straight down. I should have parried using hanging guard. He gets me in the arm, 1 point for him.
Point blue! Target area! Arm! 1 point blue! 1 point blue! Fight!
He does the same thing again, but runs in and drops his sword, cutting at my leg. I was not in an offensive position and was expecting to parry by my stomach. 2 points for him.
Point blue! Target area! 2 points blue! 2 points blue! Fight!
You can see I actually step 1 foot out of the ring. 1 foot is fine, but both is a ring out. This exchange, Tyler uses the same cut sequence as 2 exchanges ago. Low cut, middle cut, high cut. I successfully parry all 3, and using hanging guard as a third parry, I throw a cut to put him on the defensive. I then launch a controlled thrust when his sword is a little bit too low. You can see his sword is pushing up against my sword. It's very difficult for him to hit me in that position. This is the safest form of attack. It's called a controlled thrust. It's worth 5 points.
Judges, point red, thrust, controlled or uncontrolled. 5 points, red. 5 points, red. Match red. That's it, good fight.
The controlled thrust won me the match. The final score was 13-6. This was my third and last fight in pools. It was against Daniel Lincoln.
Daniel Lincoln in blue.
This match also shows the importance of striking first and initiating.
Fighters, are you ready? Fight!
Daniel self-called a hit to his head. I initiated with a wrath cut that he parried with long point, and I threw a middle cut that beat his parry and got his head. I cut once more to stop an afterblow. He's a really honest fighter and gave me 4 points.
Headshot. 4 points, red. 4 points, red. Fight! Good order.
I feint with a thrust and circle around and cut his head, then wrench his sword and cut again, 1 to confirm the hit and 2 to occupy him and prevent the afterblow.
Point red, target area, head. 4 points, red. 4 points, red. Fight!
This exchange I was waiting for Daniel to change guards. I would have used that as an opening, but he doesn't change and I'm forced to attack him at random. My footwork is pretty bad here. He moves to my right, which doesn't allow me to pass with my left foot, and they get in the way, so I can only cut with an advancing step, leading to significantly less power. My cut hits his sword in his head, but the judges say that it was mostly blocked, leading to no points, which is fine.
I did see the head strike. Are we talking sufficient force to come through there? Because I saw a lot of guns. Okay? Yeah. Okay, so I'm calling no quality on that one. The guard absorbed most of that shot.
You could see Daniel's coach talking to him. She may have advised initiating with a thwart cut.
Fight!
He initiates, which is good, but I parry with a cut, not wanting to give up the before. You can actually see I may have beaten his onset cut with mine. We bind upwards, and I pull away quickly and cut to the nearest opening. I don't remember if it was an arm or a chest hit. The judges actually said different things, but none doubted I hit him, so they split the difference at 2 points.
I'm going to call the difference on that one. I did not have the angle. 2 points red. 2 points red. Match red. Good match.
The final score was 10-0. Both of these fights were really good examples of why initiating the play is generally better, but I was really happy that I could do some effective parry riposte.